Well, hello, friend, and welcome back to the podcast. I am very happy you're here, and hopefully, you have been off being busy building that business that will take you to that life that you are bonkers about. Life is absolutely wonderful over here at the Ball Paradise. And actually, Sweetie is off doing some work off location today. So it's peace and quiet. So I had to take advantage of it. So we are going to be talking about perfectionism. One of the things that so many of you, and if you're a dental hygienist, then yes, I am absolutely pointing to you. So many of us, so many of my students wear this badge of perfectionism like a badge of honor. Okay, and the funny thing is it like we look at it like it's a good thing, but it's really not so good thing. Okay. So, what I have found in my years of business is perfectionism doesn't make you better. It actually slows progress. And for me, how that showed up in my business is it really cost me momentum in the beginning when I was just really trying to get everything perfect. I was busy, but I was not moving the needle on anything. And my friend, being busy doesn't pay the bills, okay? So you've got to be busy on the right things. So in this episode today, we are going to be talking about the permission that I'm going to give you really to stop overdoing things, stop perfecting it, and start making progress. Okay, so we're going to talk about the concept that B plus work is not lazy; it's effective. It's a great business strategy. So let's first look back at a few things for me that really brings this home to roost. So and I have shared this with you before, when I was starting my myofunctional therapy business, the training that I took at that time, like the business setup, that kind of stuff was just really a footnote. It was an afterthought. So it was more clinical stuff. So I was left trying to figure it out. So I had no clear roadmap. Shameless plug, when you study with me these days, you totally get all of that stuff. So, but I had to figure it out. So, what that looked like for me was like these mile-long to-do lists, okay, with low impact tasks. They were just like every teeny tiny little thing that needed to be done. Like my list just got longer and longer and longer. And I ended every day feeling like I had just gotten a bunch of stuff done, getting to scribble it off the list, but I was not getting any closer to the goal. I was getting lost in Canva for hours. I was designing I was working on the things that weren't going to pay my bills. If I found a typo on anything, I would spend hours getting it corrected. Okay. And so, yes, paying attention to detail was great, but I can guarantee you if I had a typo in a sentence on the website, the human was going to be able to figure out what I was saying. So it didn't make it an emergency, but I made it an emergency. And what was really happening inside of me was I was avoiding. Okay, I was avoiding fear. I was avoiding learning and mastering the CEO skills that I needed. Obviously, those are all things that I teach you these days. But I was avoiding learning marketing. I was avoiding learning sales. I like to use the analogy of getting ready to get ready instead of doing the uncomfortable work. So one of my mentors, Andrea Nordling, she always uses the example of packing a parachute. So like, somebody packs their parachute, they go up in the plane, and when it's time to jump, they're like, oh, snap. No, let me just recheck this parachute. Let me just check it again. So, and I see this a lot with my students. They just want everything to be perfect. And so, they're getting ready to get ready to get ready to get ready to get ready, but they're actually never moving the needle. Okay. So let me tell you about my college story. When I think about perfectionism, this story is the thing that just really comes to the top of mind for me. So when I first went to college, okay, so like right out of high school, I was a new mom. I was young, had no idea what I wanted to do when I grew up. But I went to school and I should say I didn't really go to school because I was having a whole lot more fun doing other things. And so I again was new. It was I was young. I was new. I was young. I was new to being on my own, being out of the house, all of those things. And so I didn't take school as serious as I should have. So I didn't have a very good GPA, let's put it that way. So I had to wait 5 years, petition the Board of Education for a fresh start, yada, yada, all that stuff. I got it. So I got a 0, if you will, and I got to start over. So when I went back to college that second time, now I was, a non-traditional age student. I was older. My husband was going at the same time. And I just felt this constant pressure to be perfect at everything I did. Okay. So I was an A+ student. My husband was a B+ student. And let me tell you, him and I were in a lot of the same classes, and he would have 20 more hours of free time every week because he was totally comfortable with B+ work. He was happy with that. And especially we were both in engineering at the time. So I just worked hours and hours and hours more than him to get A+ work. And in the big picture, first of all, I was the one who ruined the curve. So I could have done a lot less work, but in the big picture, B+ work is still exceptional work. And you lose time, you lose joy, you lose freedom when you are chasing perfectionism. And so in this episode, I am offering you the permission to choose something differently, okay? So let's talk about B+ work framework. Step 1, decide the task and set the time container. Okay, so being clear on the task. And the task, my friend, is not build a website. I'm building a website right now, and it's a huge task, but there are tons of little, small subtasks that have to be done. That's what you need to be clear on, okay? Because there's no way, if you have this big monstrosity of a task, there's no way that you're going to be able to tackle that correctly. So first you define the task. Then you have to decide how long it reasonably deserves to do, okay? So teeny tiny task, how long? There is a principle. I don't know what it's called, but basically the principle is you will take as much time as you allow yourself to do this. So I like to, I do a container calendar system. I teach the total calendar control, but everything basically gets a container. So if you think about a Tupperware, and it's a 1-cup container, you're not going to put 2 cups of soup in there. It's just not going to work. The same happens for me, for example, with blogs or podcasting. Before I was podcasting, I used to blog. And if I gave myself 4 hours for a blog, it would absolutely take me every bit of 4 hours. But then when I realized, hey, I'm not very efficient with this, I need to give myself less time, I got better and better. Now I can put something out in an hour. I don't love it, but like this, say for the podcast too, I would say a good start to finish podcast, if I'm not batching it, 90 minutes. And that makes me stay focused, and I am just, boom, 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 following my checklist. So that's what I mean by decide how long it reasonably deserves, okay? You've got to push yourself a little bit, but also don't be unrealistic, because that's where a lot of my students get frustrated, is because they aren't managing their time well because they're just not making realistic decisions, okay? They're expecting to get 36 hours worth of work done in a 24-hour day, and that, my friend, just isn't going to happen. So don't get mad at math, okay? So figure out how much time this task deserves, and then it gets a container, on the calendar, okay? Tight containers. Like I said, we're not putting 2 cups of soup into a 1-cup container. This is better for focus and for efficiency when you have these containers, okay? Um, and they also you don't get to just overflow. So it does you no good to be calendaring like this and give yourself, so like for me, give myself 90 minutes to do a podcast if I'm just going to ignore my calendar and roll into the next container. Okay. So that's step 1, decide the task and set the time container. Step 2, define what pretty good is. This was hard for us. Decide in advance what B plus work is going to look like. Okay. And then when you do that, you release the need for it being perfect. It's a tough one, but you can do it. So what does B plus work look like? Okay. Step 3 is to do that work, to do the work and move on. So when the container is done, you're done. Now, that means you're going to stop tweaking, you're going to stop polishing, you're going to stop doing all of those things, okay? It normalized that an occasional typo and imperfections is okay. Okay? You you can go back and fix things over time, but it's okay. Like I said, people will know in a sentence if you misspelled the word the. People are going to know. One thing that I love to think about when I talk about these containers that you can't overflow. So I was talking about the soup, but I cracked myself up because my notes here say tight jeans, not yoga pants. So I think it was Dr. Phil that called stretchy pants cheaters, because you would never know if you were gaining weight because they just stretched, but like tight jeans keep you honest. The same with your calendar. I want your containers to be like tight jeans, not yoga pants. Now when you are done with a task and your container is coming to an end, you can't just, hit publish. You have to think, hey, am I done? Or do I need to revisit and come back to this? And one of the biggest reasons why I don't like to not get my task done within my container is because I don't want to have to come back to it. I don't want to have to task switch and then mentally pick it up again 2 days later. So that is why it really helps, and you'll get better. And we'll talk about improvement down here in step 5, but you'll get better at figuring out how long it takes you to do something. Okay, so far you've done step 1, decided the task, set your container. Okay, step 2, you figured out what pretty good is. And then step 3, you're doing the work. Now, step 4 is to evaluate, okay? So what worked and what didn't. I'm a big proponent of evaluating your business. That's the only way that you make data-driven decisions. That's the only way you figure out what's working, what's not working, what are you going to do differently, okay? So that's what you're going to look at. Identify what needs to change next time. And then honestly assess whether this was time underestimated or wasted buffering. Buffering is anything you're doing to keep yourself from feeling the discomfort, okay? To keep yourself from actually getting the sweaty pits. Some of you buffer, some of you eat, some of you just whatever. You do insert your favorite terrible habit of choice here. Oftentimes what I'm finding for most of my students, it is mindless scrolling. So once you evaluate that, then here's step 5, and that's the improve weekly. So reinforced time management is a learned skill. Okay. Get this in your head. Okay. I'm learning it. I'm not going to be perfect at it, but I'm learning it. And then encourage yourself to get better every week. Eventually you'll get to a point where you have things pretty dialed in. I still flub things up consistently where you're like, whoa, I really underestimated that. I also have gotten to the point where I have, I will be all ready to record a podcast and I'm like, I don't even like this. I'm not even interested in this. So I will throw the baby out with the bathwater and start over. Clearly that requires a whole new container on my calendar, if you will. So you will get better. The biggest thing with time management is just not giving yourself enough time. Like I said, you're trying to put 36 hours worth of work in 24 hours. And so that's not being realistic. And then also the other thing is a lot of us we don't allow time for humaning. So lunch, commuting, potty breaks, just taking a breather, that kind of stuff. So, and you'll get better with your scheduling as you continue to learn from me, if you haven't already taken some calendaring classes from me. Okay, I think that is it, my friend. So you've got 5 steps. Perfectionism, it is fear disguised, okay? It's just wearing fancy clothing. And if you want progress, you have to stop polishing everything, stop overdoing everything, and be willing to do the thing that is uncomfortable, okay? B+ work, most of the time people won't even think it's B+ work, just you. So there is not really homework today, but what I do want you to start doing is when you start working on something and you're almost done with your time allotment, okay, I gave myself 2 hours to work on this, I'm almost done. Is it good enough? Okay, can I hit publish on it? Can I do this Instagram post? Many, many, many of you will spend every bit of all day trying to do some really cool, trendy Instagram thing. And my friend, it's gone in minutes. So again, that's a whole nother conversation for another day about your content. But is this good enough? Can I send it? Okay. Can I send it to the printers? Of course, speaking, theoretically, is theoretically the right word? You know what I'm talking about. But okay, my friend, this was a fun episode, and I know that it hits you because if you're a dental hygienist, the 3 biggest things that we struggle with are perfectionism, procrastination, and people pleasing. And it feels like they all just kind of get wound up into the same ball of wax. So that is it, my friend. Thank you for being here. Thank you for letting me be part of helping you build a life you are bonkers about. I will be back soon, and we're going to talk more about starting, growing, and simplifying your myofunctional therapy business.